Okay, look, I'm having a bad hair day, so that's why I'm wearing my Sinn Féin hat. But I'm talking to you guys about my October wrap-up. That's the books I read in October, and we're going to talk about them. Before we get into it, as always, you can get all the books I'm going to be talking about from the description down below, if available, from bookshop.org. Bookshop.org is a company that works with small and local bookstores to give them a little bit more of a kickback whenever you buy through bookshop.org. Also, get the books from your local library if you would prefer, because we love libraries here. In October, I basically stuck to the list I had at the beginning of the month, plus I added one more book. So let's get into them in order that I read these books. First up, we have Merag, the latest book in the Inheritance cycle, the one that I thought wasn't coming out until last month, but it came out a year beforehand, so I just decided to read it anyway when I thought it was coming out anyway. But really enjoyable book. I think one of the better books in the series. It definitely felt like more of a contained story, but also had the threads that linked it to the rest of the story. Merag, I think, is a far more interesting character. I think Eragon just simply suffers from protagonist syndrome, where it's hard to make him too deep and developed because you want to keep those more pure protagonist tropes with someone like Eragon. But with Merag, because you have the benefit of the history of the previous 4 books, you can be a little bit more deep with it. Definitely the development of Thorn's character, his dragon, also was great. I felt like in the previous 4 books, Thorn was not just kind of there, but he was more of a plot point, and Saphira was our main focus. Now that Thorn has been given time to breathe as a character, he is far more interesting and far more likable. Do I prefer him to Saphira? I don't know. I've only had one book with him, whereas Saphira, you have the 4 books of her character development. But yeah, I genuinely think if you enjoy the first 4 Inheritance Cycle books and you thought, I might not pick this up because there's no Eragon as the main character, I think you should read it. I think it's really fun. I don't think you can jump into it without reading the other Inheritance Cycle books. I think there's just too much history wrapped in with those ones. I think you could probably get through it, but there would be characters that are introduced that you're like, who is this person? Why are they talking to Merag this way? So I think I would probably not be like, oh, start reading them from here. Some people might benefit from that, but I wouldn't recommend that. Next up is The Tombs of Atwan, the second book in the Earthsea series. You guys were right. This was a good October read. It was a little bit spooky, but not too spooky that I was like, I don't want to read this. But also, it really grew the world of Earthsea, told you about the different people within Earthsea that you didn't really meet in the first book. Like, you met more with people who were very pro-wizard, who were very pro-Ged, or Sparrowhawk, and so you were just like, what about everyone else? And this was everyone else, like the Empire, the people who don't really believe in magic, people who have their own lore, for lack of a better term. And it just shows how good Le Guin's earth building is, that it's I'm gushing, because everything you were taught in the first book, you realize isn't everyone's worldview, and that's very reflective of the real world. You know, you start off in one place, you grow up somewhere, and your worldview is shaped by that. And you go somewhere else, and their worldview, their belief system, their everything is completely different, but there is reference to you, but it's very different to what you believe is theirs and they believe is yours. It is fantastic, and I love the callbacks to the first book, and even though there was quite a big time gap between the books, Le Guin does really good at being like, oh, that thing that's set up in the first book, yeah, this is where it comes to play into this book. Really good. Next up is The Rage of Dragons. This is a book you guys recommended to me, and I'm so happy you did. Dragons, that's exactly what I wanted, and dragons are in here, but also done in a really fun and creative way. Like, the dragons are very different to dragons you get in other fantasy books, and even though there are dragons, they aren't like the main focus of at least this book in the series. And I love the setting. I'm going to read you guys my Goodreads review. Non-European fantasy, yes. Discusses classism, yes. Anti-colonialism, yes, let's go. These are all things that I want discussed in my books. These are all things that I think are important and that I think are interesting. Plus there's dragons. I love that it is just the setting is great. Our main character is annoying, but he's annoying because he is following his belief system, and he gets less annoying as the book goes through, which is awesome. And he is young, obviously, so it's kind of how a teenager would act in that situation he's in. The class dynamics, the anti-colonial rhetoric coming from some of the characters, and understanding like the opening part and then contrasting it to the end, and how history is molded by the people in charge for their own benefit. Oh, mate, go and read this book. And for this to be like the beginning of a journey that starts off with self-publishing to maybe, I read somewhere there's going to be adaptations of this. Incredible. And now originally I was going to read White Muggles by our favourite white boy, William Dalrymple, but I couldn't get my hands on the book and it was expensive and I was trying to save money. So I substituted in 2 different books because that's a very long book and these are okay length books. Next is We Solve Murders by Richard Osmond, which is his new series. I believe it's going to be, I don't know if it is related or in the same universe even as the Thursday Murder Club. They're both set in the UK, so maybe. I don't believe there were any characters that crossed over in the 2, not from what I could see or notice in the books. I don't know if I'm being overly critical, but I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because I felt like in this book in particular, Osmond writes really great characters. I love a lot of the characters. The characters are fun, they are lifelike, they feel real. The plot itself felt a little bit overly convoluted and also overly convenient at points. I don't know, I think with some of the Thursday Murder Club books, I think the way he goes about it, there's a little bit more suspense. So the fact that there is like coincidences that move the plot along aren't shown, so then it's like, whoa, what happened? But I feel like the way he was going about it in this, telling it from different perspectives, but also the story in itself wasn't the strongest compared to some of the Thursday Murder Club stuff. But to be honest, I like Thursday Murder Club is quite grounded compared to this book, so maybe that's where that iffiness about the plot comes from. I think if you really like the Thursday Murder Club books, still read it. I still enjoyed this, I just didn't think it was as good as those. Even if it's just for the characters you're going to read this for, then read it, because Osmond is really great at writing characters. I will give him that. He is very, very good at characterization. He is really good at coming up with fun and creative characters. I just felt like the plot here might have been a little bit short / just wasn't for me. The final book is Mao Zedong's 5 essays. That's quite the book to add, isn't it? So obviously I'm pretty sure my political machinations and leanings are very clear on this channel, so I decided to read Mao's 5 essays. I am not the smartest cookie out there, so I'm probably going to have to read through some of them again. On Practice was incredibly interesting to me, and I like that Mao talks about, practice and dialectical materialism quite a lot throughout his essays, and kind of some of the stuff he says can be applied to right now. This was written, I believe, almost 100 years ago as well, so extremely interesting reads. Gotta probably read through them again. I have another volume of Mao's work, which I'm not sure might come with annotations. To be honest, this one came with annotations too, but the other one is a much bigger book, so I think it will have more and more in-depth annotations, so I'm gonna look for the essays within those books. It's like volume 2 of Mao's works. I need to get volume 1 as well from Foreign Language Press probably has it. That's where I got this book from, so let's see about that. But I thought very interesting as someone who's trying to grow their ideas about socialism or communism. I would like to read more diversely. I've mostly only read Marx and Lenin, and I can't really call myself a Marxist-Leninist if I don't read all the others. If I don't read Mao, if I don't read even Trotsky, and that's Trotsky, okay? If I don't read them, I'm not going to be able to actually be like, this is my political stance. So I need to actually read them, and being like, not the smartest guy, and I'm very open about that, it's a bit difficult for me, but that's all part of the challenge of growing oneself, I suppose. Theory, but also, you know, practice, as Mao talks about a lot in that first essay, is extremely, if not the most important part of all of this. So, you know, if you are able to go out and organize and do stuff for something you care about, do it. I highly encourage you to do it. It is scary at first, especially if you're like me and have a little bit of social anxiety, but it is extremely rewarding, extremely fulfilling, and it does help you get over stuff like the anxiety you might have had, like I had. But on that downer, those were the books I read in October. Let me know if you've read any of them, or you're thinking about picking up any of them after my very apt and very good descriptions, clearly, of the books. Let me know what you read in October. I'd love to know if you made any changes to your reading plan in October. Yeah, thank you for watching. And hey, what's this? Oh, these are my lovely members. Shout out to them. They're so awesome. Members get 2 extra videos a month exclusively for them. Members get access to all my videos early. They get some really cool custom emojis that they get to use, which I keep adding to, and they get a sweet little sticker next to their name where everyone knows they're a member. And also they're going to get access to member-only polls, member-only posts. So if you're interested in becoming a member, click that join button below this video, and you know, for £2 a month you can get some extra content. If you can't do that, that's a-okay. I totally understand. We are going through a cozy lives right now, and God knows how much longer we will. So you liking, subscribing, sharing the video with a friend or family member is more than enough. Thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today.